Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second session of Brindlewood Bay Murder Mavens. So last time we generated characters and we got started on our mystery dad overboard. And so we're going to do a bit of a mystery recap before we get into it. But before we get to the recap, I'd love to do introductions, just to remind everybody who our characters are and where we're at. For our characters. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself first. My name is Jamie. They, them pronouns, please. And I was just talking before the recording how I had to watch this. Well, I didn't have to. I stopped watching this Murder, She Wrote episode of a young super hunk of a hunk man hitting super hard at Jessica Fletcher, and my heart couldn't take it. But there are lots of episodes, so. Then next, let's go in character keeper order in true Gauntlet tradition. So let's start with Sherry. Tell us about yourself and your character.
All right. I'm Sherry. I use the pronouns she, her. I'm playing character Monica Zabo. She uses pronouns she, her too. Her style is speed walking. She likes to keep fit and keep active and see all the people and the things that are happening around town. So you will always see her just walking around, and she always wears these very matchy-match outfits. You know, she's got a tracksuit that matches her tennies, and if it's hot out, she's probably got like a little headband and some wristbands to get the sweat, but they match exactly too. So she has like a different set for each day of the week. And then when the seasons change, she gets, another set with just the right weight. She's very concerned about those sorts of things. Also, her cozy activity, her favorite thing to do is gardening. But she has a rival. Oh, my goodness. And her name is, let's see here. I wrote it down. Grace Amlin. And Grace, I'm pretty sure she checks my mailbox to see what I'm ordering from the catalogs and just does the same thing. So it's head-to-head all the time. Annoying. So that is Monica Sabo.
I added this part about the mailbox. So, all right. And next, Puckett, tell us about Doris.
Hi there, Puckett, he, him pronouns. I'm Doris McAllister. I like to bake. I actually just made some scrumptious pumpkin muffins if anybody would like when they're straight out of the oven. They might need to sit for about 10-15 minutes to cool off a little bit and settle. But after that, they'll be absolutely perfect if you just put a tiny bit of butter on them. Maybe some apple butter. It'd be really delicious, I think. And, well, sometimes I have spooky dreams, and they're kind of weird. But it's probably just a pizza I ate before I went to bed. And I'd like to say that Henrietta Gable is my rival, but really she just critiques my baking because she apparently doesn't have any taste buds left in her mouth because, well, given how old she is, they probably all died. But my real rival, my real rival is Stephen, and I cannot stand Stephen. He is always making noise, always yelling at me. He's very impolite. Someone, not me, but someone, should teach him some manners.
Absolutely. Very impolite. So, and last but not least, Richard, tell us about Ruby.
I am Richard, he, him pronouns. I am playing Ruby Ellis, a retired art gallery owner and patron who is now thrown herself into museum fundraising, and she's kind of trying to bring her connections to bear on this whole situation. So, yeah,
absolutely, awesome. Okay, so we're going to follow. Actually, I want to show how great, like on screen, is that right? In the actual PDF, there's like something you just follow as a GM, structure of play, session 2 onward. So it's really great. It's a fantastic way to, I really appreciate RPGs that like help you organize how to run the game in a really simple way. So that always I always appreciate that. So following that, what we're going to start with is our mystery recap. So our current mystery is that I'm looking at our clues and stuff like that because you have to focus on the clues. But our main mystery is that poor Albert Kraus, this poor, ridiculously rich man, fell overboard from his yacht, supposedly. The story, or what has been told so far, is that he was drunk and he fell overboard, and it was simply a horrible accident. However, our sheriff doesn't believe that's the case. Our sheriff suspects that there's foul play, and he went to our Murder Mavens to begrudgingly ask for help because this is not the first time that they have helped him. And so far, in terms of the clues we have gathered, Ruby was able to talk to David Kraus, who is trying to set up an art gallery in Brindlewood Bay. Also came across this mysterious figure wearing shades, pearls, incredibly well dressed. I think I will share the screen again so people watching can see the NPC list. Another clue we have is that we know Roger R. Rogers came from New York, is a debt collector. Supposedly, the Krauses owe a huge sum of money. We have not confirmed this. And aside from that, the other clues we picked up was, so at the gallery, while they were working on the gallery, Ruby saw a bloody rug. One of David's men was trying to burn it. We don't know if it was burnt. It went off screen. We may be able to still recover it. Also, our other two ladies went to see their good friend, our fishmonger friend. I still can't pronounce. I was trying to practice this and I forgot. Etienne. Let's just stick with Etienne, because that last name. Etienne is a friend of the Kraus family, and as a favor is keeping Albert Kraus's body in a freezer, totally normal stuff that you do in a small town like this, before they can ship the body for a proper burial in Chicago. And but our Murder Mavens were able to uncover another clue, which is that Albert Kraus was clutching onto a paper with a number sequence on it, quite possibly a phone number. Doris's quotation mark friend can help. And last but not least, during our cozy activity of preparing for the charity event for the museum, Ruby was able to uncover a copy of an old land title, which calls into question the ownership of the estate. It also had old photographs of Kraus's forefathers with it. And also we have a void clue. Doris was visited by her late husband in her dreams. He warned her of not opening the door. She is on the other side, he said. So that's pretty much our summary. Do we have any questions about, did I forget anything? Or okay, we'll see what comes up if ever. And so next we're supposed to resolve cliffhangers if there are any. Fortunately, we just ended on a rather cozy note, so we're totally cool there. And then we're going to go into the beginning of the session. So this is a housekeeping phase. So this is a good time for us to refer to our end of session questions, which we can always change if we want to. So for example, Monica has marked, did you dote on someone? And did you show someone that you still got it? So I'm going to give everyone a minute to decide if you want to change it around, and then we'll go around and let me know what you pick. Okay, so did you pick anything new for Monica, Sherry?
No, I'm going to lean into the different meanings of still got it. I think that's where I'm going.
That's awesome. And it's always fun to dote, so. All right, and then Puckett, how about for Doris? Did you change anything?
I think I have a lot to offer the young people of this town. And at the very least, I think I can share with them some recipes that might help them Nab. I believe the young people now call them partners. So I believe that I can help them. But otherwise, you know me, if I'm not baking or doing something kind for somebody, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to do anything or deal with anything if I'm not doting on someone.
Yeah, we do have that speed dating event coming up, so that is a thing.
Oh, shush you.
And we know that there's this. Oh yeah, I got a picture of him. The Sven who likes your cookies. So.
Did you have to show everybody? I must be as red as a beet right now.
I have to say, it took a while to find a picture of a guy who was older with a beard with cookies that wasn't thirst-inducing. Can I just like point that out? There's like a lot of thirsty pictures of older men on the internet. We live in amazing times. And
should I make lemonade for them?
Quite possibly. There's a certain lemonade I'm sure that they're into. And then last but not least, Ruby, did you pick anything for your end of session moves, or are they the same?
No, I shifted one. I'm leaning into the youthful angle, so I switched over to the still got it as well.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. And so next we are going to go into our title card opening. We're going to focus on the cozy aspect. So this is when the music comes up, the TV show is on. So we're going to go around and let me know what cozy vignette or what cozy moments, just very briefly, what we catch your character doing in the opening sequence. So let's go in reverse character order this time. Let's start with Ruby. What do we see Ruby doing in our opening sequence?
Ruby is changing out part of her collection. She's rehanging some art on her walls.
Looking quite pleased with herself. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a feeling like in the corner of her eye, we see one of these paintings has a terribly dark nature to it. But surely it's just a trick of the shadow. And next, what do we see of Doris?
I'm sitting in a different high back chair this week, and this time I'm knitting. And Coco, the orange tabby cat that lives with me, is rolling around on the floor playing with the end of a skein of yarn. Probably making a mess of it. I'll probably have to figure out a way to deal with the yarn that's been unthreaded and been unraveled, but that's a small price to pay for a happy kitten, isn't it?
Are you watching a YouTube video to help you learn this new knitting technique?
I should be doing YouTube videos, but I just can't figure out the camera. I bet I could teach those youngsters a thing or two.
That's a good point. Absolutely. We should look into that this episode. I'm sure there's someone who would love to help you out. And I think also we see like in the distance behind you, the shadow of your husband watching you protectively. And what do we see Monica in our opening?
You see her walking through her neighborhood, and she's essentially waving to a neighbor. And you see her walk past the hedge, and she waits until her neighbor goes back in, and then she slips around, and from her fanny pack she draws some zucchini, and she sticks them in the mailbox, and then she keeps on walking.
So it's a zucchini drive-by.
It is. It's the drive-by.
Yeah. I feel like in the background we see in your own mailbox what you suspect is true. Your arch rival is. We don't see her going through the mailbox just yet, but she's standing suspiciously close. So obviously she's up to something. All right. So that was
you there, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So that's our opening sequence. And so I know that we already have a current mystery going on, but the interesting thing about this game is that at the start of every session, we introduce a new mystery, and we cap it at like 3. yeah, if there are already 3 active mysteries, skip this step, but we only have 1. So I'm really excited to introduce this one. So what we see next is that our 3 mavens, I also forgot to, for everybody, the Murder Mavens have a mystery book reading club. They've been in it for the last 10 years. They especially love the adventures of Andrea Delacorte, the Golden Crown mysteries. So our Murder Mavens have been invited to a swanky Halloween party. I have to note, it is March, but there is a Halloween party that you all have been invited to. And let's see. It's being thrown by being thrown at the fabulous Brindlewood Bay home of Abner Vidal. Abner Vidal is a retired filmmaker, and he's famous for his gonzo B-grade pictures. So there's usually like a lot of blood, a lot of like sex, and rock and roll and that sort of thing. Very cheap effects, all in all. And so we see the 3 of you at the door. It's a really huge house. It's incredibly large. It's ostentatious. In fact, I want to ask the 3 of you, as you approach Abner's home, what ostentatious thing do you see outside that reminds you Abner doesn't fit in with Brindlewood Bay's stuffy upper crust, especially compared to the Krauses that you came across recently? What ostentatious thing do you see about his house? Let's start with Puckett. Do you have an idea?
He has done the absolute strangest thing with his front yard. It's gone. It's not there. Instead, he has this empty swimming pool, and he has these tattooed young men with wild hair riding skateboards in this empty swimming pool that he put in. I don't understand it.
Absolutely. Poor use of a swimming pool. That poor swimming pool. And Monica, what do you see that's ostentatious and bizarre?
I think that he's also built like, how to describe this? He's done a lot of trellises, but the trellises are like all planted with berries, like strawberries and stuff, and then they rotate so that like the trays of strawberries all get enough sun during the day. And apparently the sprinkler turns on at other times too. And I'm sure it'll be lovely when the strawberries actually ripen, but right now it is a rotating set of, I don't know. But I mean, everything's lovely. It's going to be lovely, but it's dirt it's rotating through these lovely trellis things. It's very,
very over the top.
yes. It's going
very
to
unnecessary.
Yeah. Late
Absolutely. And Ruby, what do you see? Like, is there something maybe related to the art scene here, or something else entirely?
Yeah, actually, he has a on his like side porch. He has a an outdoor bar with an attached brass still that he's been known to brew up some potent elixirs.
Ooh, I like. And for this Halloween setup, there's a lot of dry ice and there's a lot of bubbling going on just to really like enhance this Halloween in March. So, this is not the first time he's thrown a Halloween party. He tends to do it every other month whenever he feels like it. So our boy is a little over the top. And now my more important question for each of you is that this is a costume party. So what costume are you wearing?
Ooh. I think that my granddaughter suggested that I dress as someone from Frozen. So I have a princess dress on and the big long braid and all of that. So yes.
Amazing. I love it. Fantastic. Keeping up with the times quite well. And how about Doris? What's Doris wearing for the Halloween party?
Well, my late husband John was actually a big fan of Mr. Vidal's movies. I never was. They were much too gory, and I preferred musicals, much to John's chagrin. He could never understand why I always wanted to hum Let's Fly a Kite while I was in the kitchen baking. But that's a little beside the point. But I do remember that he especially liked one of Vidal's movies called She Has Come to Kill You #2. And I dressed up as the heroine from that movie. I even actually managed to find some Caro syrup and some red food coloring in the kitchen to put on the knife, the butcher knife that she had that I guess she used to kill those people with. I'm just going to pretend that she just like waved it at them threateningly and just left it at that.
Absolutely. Have you actually seen the movie or?
Heavens, no. Have you seen that movie? I had nightmares from the screams.
And Ruby, what is your costume?
I am dressed as Columbia from Rocky Horror.
Which one is Columbia again? Oh my gosh.
The one with the sequins and the not the maid.
Awesome. I love
Yes.
it. Fantastic. Very good. I'm gonna. It's so funny. I just type in Columbia R and Google immediately. Oh yeah, I remember this. Fantastic. I love it. Okay, so the three of you come up to the party. It's in full swing, and Abner comes and greets you, of course, and he says, "Oh, the Murder Mavens, you've made it! I love you, darlings!" And he comes over to like air kiss you on the cheek. Each of you, come. Oh, this is so adorable. Let it go, he says as he starts gesturing towards your braid. And he is in a King Tut costume, except it's like if you described what a King Tut costume was to someone who has never come across the imagery in their life and tried to think of it through the lens of a Michael Bay Transformers movie, it kind of looks like that. Like it's just really ridiculous. Over the top King Tut costume. He's very happy to see the three of you. He goes, "Oh, come on, we need a little bit of that Brindlewood Bay charm. Everybody's gonna love it. I have some friends from LA. They're gonna be so excited to meet you. Oh, and you of course have to meet my wife. She's finally here. I've managed to convince her to move with me," he says. And he gestures, and his wife comes along. You can tell she's immediately sweet. She smiles at you a little vacantly with her large blue eyes. She's wearing a Cleopatra costume, not as ostentatious, but still quite beautiful. And she comes over and she says, "Oh, hello. Yes, I'm Coco. It's so nice to meet all of you. I've heard so much about the three of you and what you've done for the community. I really love Andrea Delacorte. I started reading her just recently," she says.
You'll have to come and join us for the book club. We meet every Wednesday.
Oh, really? Would that be okay? I would love to. Oh, but I never understand. I'm kind of too dumb for these things, but I'd love to come and try.
You absolutely should. And she goes, "And I can't imagine that your enthusiasm won't carry you through. The stories are just so good."
And at this point, Abner places a kind hand on her back. "Oh, Coco's always selling herself short. She's the only reason I'm this successful. She is truly the brains of this operation," he says as he smiles and gestures for the three of you to come in. And so the party's in full swing. The bar is overflowing with lots of crazy drinks. You see lots of people all over the place. Who would like to... who would like to go in and mingle first? Or would you like to go in as a group and descend as mavens?
I'm very curious about Coco. I'm getting a Ruby has a suspicion that she has encountered a fellow beard.
Oh, I see. Fellow.
Uh,
Oh, total.
and so she's gonna try to like cozy up to her and signal that they're both in the same club if that turns out to be true.
Right. And do you feel like there's something like a signal that is shared to like ask about these things politely?
Yeah, I think that I will drop some references to Hans in a way that indicates that if she's hip to this, she'll understand.
Right, right. And as you do so, she smiles and she imperceptibly nods and she says, "Oh, and I'm sure you and Hans are very happy with your arrangement."
Oh, very much so.
Yes, yes. It's the same for Abner and I, though. Once in a while, he gets a little curious, and I get a little curious too. But, I'm pretty much the same. I I like them a little different, she says. And as she says that, you notice that she's looking towards someone else in the distance. You see someone in a maid uniform with cat ears just pass by very quickly on the other side, and then she looks back at you and she like winks. But these arrangements, they work out very well, and Abner and I are incredibly happy together. How are you and Hans?
I get everything from him that a woman needs from a husband.
And she starts twittering, "Oh, that's so true. We need so little, don't we?"
And yeah, and then we're just we'll kind of pal around for a while.
Absolutely. And so how about our others? Would someone like to mingle with more guests or seek out others?
I'm curious about those young men with the wild haircuts and the strange tattoos who ride those skateboards in the swimming pool.
Oh yeah, when you come closer, it's almost tribal. Like they're talking in their own language, like yeah, brah, yeah, like in this like permanent low tone. And they talk to each other in half sentences the entire time. Yeah, and then when you yeah, I get like just over and over again. But they seem to understand each other in a way. And when they see you, one of them says, "Whoa, so much like blood. It's like intense, but it smells good. Is that chocolate?"
Close. It's red food coloring and Caro corn syrup. That's how a lot of blood gets made for movies. I learned that from my late husband, John.
Corn syrup. Oh, late husband. And they all look a little like sad.
It's been years.
Oh, sorry. Merlin's like here. So say hi, Merlin.
Oh, he looks like my little Coco.
That's why he's saying hi. But yeah. So I got so distracted by the cat. And as you're talking to them, there's actually someone else who comes up to you. She is wearing a very similar outfit to the one that you are wearing, Doris. And she's in something of a vampirist costume, similar amount of blood. I'm going to say a lot more. There's a lot more blood. And she looks and she says, "Oh, are you a fan of my movies?" And she extends a hand.
And I gently shake it and say, I'm sorry you have me at a disadvantage. My late husband was the fan of Mr. Vidal's movies, but he loved them very much. I'm sure he would have known you.
Oh, that's all right, darling. Elena Visage. I'm an actress. I'm a star in most of Abner's films.
I'm surprised that you don't do more films with other people. You're so pretty.
Oh, that's so kind of you to say, darling. She says, the truth is, ever since my performance in Devil Women from Planet X, Abner says I'm a little too old for the roles.
Perish the thought. We all have everything. We can all contribute at our age, whatever it is. I mean,
It's true.
I bake all the time. I knit, I quilt. I contribute a lot of things, and I'm sure that you, with your experience, could be immensely valuable to him on any movie. I mean, why would he want to hire somebody or have an actress who doesn't have your knowledge and your breadth of skills?
Oh, well, he likes him half my age nowadays, but I can still keep these puppies up, she says as she starts jiggling her chest. And no tape required. My surgeon is quite good, she says.
I never would have guessed that they were, well,
Oh, haven't you had work done? You look fantastic, she says,
goodness,
pointing at your
no.
face.
This is all natural. I just, I don't know. I use some Pond's cold cream at night.
And she says, oh, you certainly have genes, but I'm sure you're not performing any dark, terrible rituals. And at this point, Puckett, I remember we did not do the beginning of session move for you where you get a mysterious message from the void. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have at the beginning of each session, the keeper will give you a void clue in the form of strange, unsettling dream. I'm going to say that what happened was it was one of those strange dreams that you don't remember having until something triggers it, right? Like when you're at someplace else and you see something similar. So as you are talking to her, all of a sudden, yeah, you realize that there's an old gramophone behind her and it's playing music, but like you realize that the needle is up. It hasn't actually hit the record, but there's still music coming out of the gramophone. And that's when you start to remember the dream you had. And once again, you were in the bed and your husband was next to you. And there was a gramophone that was playing itself. And the door is still closed. And he turns to you and he says, remember, Doris, that we have to listen for what they don't want us to hear. And he leans over and he starts to play the sound backwards. And it's that same strange chanting that's coming from beyond the door. But the moment quickly snaps you back to here. You look around and you realize there isn't a gramophone. You don't know why you thought you saw one here, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of noise and people, and you're sure
Plus,
it's fine.
He's strange enough that it's the sort of thing that he would have around. I mean, he seems like the kind of man who would collect old 78s.
Yeah, absolutely. But you have made a new friend. Elena is quite happy to be with you. She starts telling you about, I get pretty good ratings in Rotten Tomatoes, 30%.
Well, I understand that's quite a bit better than those superhero movies, the ones with the Superman ones. I understand that's much better than the ratings those movies received.
Oh, absolutely. And besides, in my line of work, you don't want to get anything higher than 40. That means you're not very good at your job, darling.
I'm not quite sure that I understand. I thought that the higher the rating, the better.
Oh, no. In the B movie industry, darling, of course not. And she starts to educate you on the subject. But I feel like I want to see Monica get in on the party. So, Monica, I'll give you a choice. You see several people. One of them is in a Frankenstein's monster costume. One of them is in a Phantom of the Opera costume. And you see someone who is not dressed in a costume at all. Looks like he is not having a good time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What sort of person is this not having a good time person?
Yeah, so as you take a closer look, he's quite handsome. Piercing blue eyes, dark skin. Looks like he's possibly of some sort of uh, Southern Asian descent. And you see him by himself. People keep trying to talk to him, jostling over, and he just sort of like makes a barely polite sound, keeps drinking his whiskey, refuses to partake in any of the crazy fun Halloween drinks that are happening. And he's looking around and he keeps looking down at his watch.
Well then, I've read enough books. I understand this spy thing. I go over to the bar and I order a drink the color of my dress.
Right. And so the bartender shows up. You recognize her from down in the bay, actually.
Oh.
I would say, let's see. Like I'm looking at, she is the head of the gardening club.
What?
Yeah. And she's quite young. She's the youngest ever, broken quite a few records.
Okay. And I'm like, Marcella, how is the Unity Garden going? You're over on the other side of the bay, so I never get over there as much as I want.
Oh, it's going absolutely great. I'm so happy to see you here, Monica. And you wanted a drink to match your dress?
Yes, I wanted a drink to match my dress, and I wanted to know the name of that very handsome gentleman over there, the one that's glowering at everyone.
Oh, yeah, he's a bit of a tough nut to crack. That's Marcus Greaves. He's the manager. He's Abner's business manager.
Ooh.
And they've been working together for like over 20 years. Can you imagine?
Wow, no. Why would he be so unhappy at a party?
He's a little used to the LA scene, and between you and me, Monica, I think he thinks we're all a bunch of we're not good enough for him. Do you know what I mean? This town is too small for his kind.
Snobby.
Yeah, the snobbiest, but I'm sure you could get through to him, Monica. Everybody loves you. You're the hero of Brindlewood Bay.
Well, oh yeah, I should have brought the stick shift. That would impress him, I'm sure.
Not to mention, you are a champion of the gardening community. I'm sure that'll
impress him as well. I bet they don't have anything like that in Hollywood, do they?
No, in LA, it's all like fake plants, I hear. It's all plastic. Like
Really?
people.
Have to ask him.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's your drink. And she gives you it's in this really weird cookie glass, and there's a little too much dry ice coming from it. She's a better gardener than she is a bartender. But it still tastes very good. It's quite light, actually.
Awesome. And she's like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And she takes another straw in case she needs it. So, all right, I'm going to make my way over to, now what was his name again? She stopped.
Marcus.
Mark?
Yeah. Let's see. I will also copy and paste the name here of our characters so far. So we have Marcus Greaves, and I'll add them to our growing NPC board.
Sounds awesome.
Lena Visage. That's right.
That's a great name.
And Coco Vidal. There we go. So you see, you go up to Marcus Greaves. His hair is slicked back. He has very intense eyes. And he raises an eyebrow at you as you come closer.
And I say, so how long are you stuck here?
And he smiles a little bit embarrassed. Oh, is it obvious I'm not having a good time?
Super obvious. She goes, I've been to those parties too. I completely understand.
He sighs and he nods and he says, these parties are such a waste of time. People here are never really going to accept Abner as one of their own. I've heard the rumors, he says, looking at you.
And she sort of stops and goes, does Abner want to be accepted as one of our own?
Oh, yeah, for as long as I remember, ever since we first started working together 20 years ago, he's always talked about wanting to retire in a coastal town. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. LA is, no offense, he says. I'm sure you're having a great time here, but, for a director of his caliber, a creative visionary. The people in Los Angeles just miss Abner.
I could understand that. He has a certain charm to him, but he does trend toward the gothic, and California's a lot of things, but it's not gothic.
That's a good point, he says.
Think of this as a time when he can come and rejuvenate his aesthetic.
That is true. I'm so sorry. I didn't catch your name. You are...
I'm Monica Zabo.
Monica, he says, and he starts to smile. And you realize he's turning on the charm on you a little bit.
Really? All right. So she goes, well, you seem much warmer now. She just calls her right out.
And it's quite scandalous, he's like 45. That's like so much younger.
Beauty, no doubt.
And so let's see. There are a few more people to interact with. We still have our person in the Frankenstein monster costume, our Phantom of the Opera costume, and I think this one's going to be interesting for Ruby. Ruby, I think with your beard radar, I think you also have the opposite when you can see what the beard is hiding. And you can see that there is a younger man, not too much younger than Abner, who's wearing a sort of deconstructed sock hop costume, except trying to make it masculine. So there's a bit of a poodle somewhere, very cute pastel colors. It's quite fresh, actually. It's quite nice to look at. And you see that this person is like obviously glaring daggers at Coco. And every time Coco tries to make a joke, he's a little mean about it. Like there's a lot of shade coming from this person.
All right. I'm gonna try to draw him in by I've been spending the last half hour or so telling everybody stories from the 1978 Danish premiere of the stage show for Rocky Horror that I met Hans at, and I launch into a my rendition of Hans was playing Rocky, and it was a Danish production, but he is but I go into my rendition in Danish of touch me, and I kind of play it up that I'm kind of trying to draw him in by kind of embarrassing him a little bit, but really belting it out.
Absolutely. And you can see he is unable to contain himself. He starts belting along with you, and he goes, "The Danish production." He says, "I've heard so many things about it. It's gotten on YouTube." And in fact, he brings out his phone and he shows you there's this really grainy VHS recording of the Danish production that's 10 years old on YouTube and of a really small file-sized boot.
Oh, honey, the real show was backstage.
Backstage? Did you know them? He says. And when you get closer to him and he's not glaring daggers at Coco, you realize that his blue eyes are quite kind and comforting. And poor Coco has no idea. Coco likes him so much. And he says, "Oh, where are my manners? I should introduce myself. My name is June Willoughby." Right. And that June's a local. June has been here for a long time, has grown up here. And despite their love for Broadway and things like that, they never wanted to leave Brindlewood Bay. They're quite happy to be here.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna basically tell him this story about me and Hans and how, and what our relationship was, and just kind of, alluding to it, but letting him know that, like, there are these two kinds of relationships that people like us can have, and they need not have any, they need not interfere with each other at all. And in fact, it can be quite stimulating to have more people in the mix.
So you're trying to get him to warm up to Coco a bit.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I feel like I won't say it's a move for now, but it is. You can see like he's kind of like about it, but he's so charmed by you that he's a little more open to it than he would be before. And he leans in and whispers, "Oh, it's just Coco just has such terrible taste. Like, have you tasted the champagne? It's not real champagne," he says.
In like kind of a stage whisper, one never criticizes free champagne, darling.
And he smiles a little ruefully. "I stand corrected," he says. And at this point, I think I'm looking at, I'll say that Monica, as you're talking to, well, as it's more like as Marcus Greaves is like flirting a little bit with you, you hear and see like the Frankenstein monster and the Phantom of the Opera are talking to each other. You recognize, now that they're closer, you recognize Frankenstein's monster. It's Gordon Thune, who is a banker locally, and you can tell he's trying his best to have a good time, but it's quite difficult. He keeps looking at the door like he wants to make an escape at any moment. And he is talking to the Phantom of the Opera, who is quite the opposite. He's quite excited. He's very friendly. He's boisterous, throwing his arms around. And he's saying, "I tell you this, Abner Vidal isn't just a filmmaking visionary. No, he's also got a great mind for business. The plans we're hatching for the bayside properties are going to make Brindlewood Bay an internationally renowned vacation spot," he says. And as he says it, he like pauses, and you can see in his mind's eye, there's glorious, glorious tourist attractions that no one else can see. It's a little awkward with his pause. It goes on for a little too long before Gordon sort of tugs him politely. I don't completely understand these Hollywood types. It's just, it's beyond me. And he sees you. "Oh, Monica, thank goodness, a normal person. Come, he says as he starts pulling you close.
All right.
These Hollywood types, they're so scary. They keep pausing dramatically. I don't know what to do when they do that."
And she sort of, is the opera fellow still here, the Phantom? And she goes,
yeah, he's still pausing awkwardly to himself.
She goes, "Now, I would think you could see a business opportunity in this." And she'll go, and she'll sort of pat the arm of the Phantom of the Opera, and she goes, "Now, sir, I didn't catch your name."
Oh, and then he comes out of his reverie and he takes a closer look at you. Then he throws his cloak to the side quite dramatically and bows down quite deeply. And he says, "Oh, I am Sam Turlington, proud business partner of Abner Vidal. I am pleased to make your acquaintance, Elsa."
"Oh, yes. Oh, well, my friends call me Monica here." And she sort of giggles and she drinks from the straw out of her ridiculous drink with the trash. And she goes, "So you are from Hollywood then, right?"
"Right. Absolutely, darling. Are you going to come and visit?"
Oh, she goes, "Oh, now I live here, and when it's going to be a wonderful tourist attraction, that will be fun for all of us, won't it?"
"Oh, absolutely. It's going to create jobs. It's going to create glory. It's going to create glamour," he says.
"Ooh, what sort of glamour?"
"Well, we were thinking of setting up a casino, these wonderful string of restaurants. there's a lot of ideas. We were also hoping for like a luxury condominium, quite possibly.
And she goes, there's a lot of local history that you might want to like weave into your themes. If there's anyone you want to talk to, it's Ruby Ellis. She knows everything about this town. And I'll point her out over there.
Oh, I've heard about it. Whaling. Maybe we can have an amusement park where we have fake whales that everybody has to hunt down. That's a great idea. I'm sure Ruby will agree. And he goes over.
And I turn back to Gordon and I'm like, okay.
And Gordon says, oh, thank goodness. And I have to ask you, Monica, you and Gordon almost became a thing. Why didn't it quite happen, though?
I think that his daughters, who I knew, like I was their teacher and everything. And there was the thing of when their mom passed on, they just weren't ready for him to get remarried. And we both loved them so much, we just didn't want to. And we've been friends. And even though we kind of circle around each other every once in a while, it's just that kind of, because we did step away, we stepped away, if that makes any sense. Maybe someday we'll revisit it, but I sincerely enjoy his company.
Right. So when you come closer, there's a moment where someone pushes into Gordon and he tumbles towards you a little bit. Oh, I'm so sorry. Monica, you look quite fetching tonight.
Yeah. Got some she sort of straightens everything. She goes, yeah, a little bit of a neckline that I haven't tried in a while. So glad I've been walking. How are you doing?
And you start seeing under his like cheap green makeup, he starts blushing furiously, like not looking towards your chest. Well.
You've been walking, haven't you?
Yes.
That's good. You said you were going to, try to do a mile or two a day.
Right. And, but Monica, when are you going to stop walking away from me? He says.
I was never walking away from you. I was just pacing until you came around. That's all.
And he opens his mouth to respond when all of a sudden everybody hears this shrill scream piercing the party. And everyone turns around and there's this great clattering sound of metal hitting the ground. And you hear the skater guys and this is like, brah, what happened? What do you do?
What did happen? Go towards the sound.
Right. So do all three of you go there, or are you going to, like, how meddlesome are Mavens, basically, is my question.
This is unfortunate because I had planned to set Elena up with one of those skater boys that was looking at her. But that's going to have to be put on a back burner for right now. How rude and inconsiderate.
And how about Ruby?
Yes, Ruby, the crash kind of, draws she's kind of formed an entourage around her that she leads out to see what's going on.
I think this is a natural thing Ruby does, just like create an entourage after a while. So a lot of you, I have a feeling the three of you are leading this. You move towards the covered back porch and you see someone, their head is submerged in a large metal basin that was used for bobbing apples. And Ruby, you recognize the maid from earlier. She has a hand over her mouth. She was the one who screamed and she's panicked and she pulls away. And someone else, Gordon, comes closer and pulls out the body, and it's Abner. He's dead.
When did that happen? And I will go to essentially comfort the maid and essentially pull her over to the side, and I go, it's okay. And
it's terrible. I just came in. Oh my gosh, he's Abner. He's dead. She keeps like going up higher and higher, like she's going to pass out.
And I'm like, yeah, let it go, it's okay.
Oh, but what about poor Miss Coco? Oh my gosh, Miss Coco, she's and at that point, I think it's we've been at this for about an hour, so I think it's a good time for us to take our first break.
Okay.
As we take apart this second mystery on our plate. So I'll see you all in 10 minutes. All right, see ya. Hello, hello. Ooh, I'm also excited for your root game.
Oh, thanks.
I remember wanting to sign up, but I think the time was like
Oh, yeah. It's a weird time.
but that's okay. I'm gonna, if you're recording it, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I'm going to be trying.
Awesome. But yeah, okay, let's see. Oh, and Pucket's back as well. Okay, so I know we those octaves of distress. I'm reading the chat. Yeah, my throat's feeling it. It happens sometimes.
My distress was, oh my gosh, yeah, that poor girl, that poor maid, she's hurting herself. It was terrible.
Oh, yes, I have my tea packet. Thank you. Lady Grey. Okay. So I know I introduced a lot of characters. So I'm going to be I put most of them in we'll of course be obsessively adding pictures later. But let me just, I think I have most of them. I just have to put in the two who are interested in Monica. So let me just put them in now. Our business, let's see. The manager, Marcus Greaves. Let's put him in first. Abner's manager. Then I'll just put in the last one. What's Gordon's last name again? Gordon Thune. Anchor and had an almost. I'll put that. Had an almost with Monica. Okay, so that is all of our characters. It's quite a lot, I know, so don't worry. That's what the tab is for. I created a new tab just so that it doesn't crowd out the other tab. Okay, so poor Admiral Vidal is quite dead on the porch. Our maid, Mrs. White, is quite besides herself. She looks like a sort of frail creature, blondish, strawberry blonde hair, incredibly large eyes, and you see that Coco has rushed to her husband's side and is. She looks like she's in shock, and she looks like she's trying to cry, but she just doesn't know how to react to what's going on, and Coco is trying foolishly to get Abner to wake up, but obviously that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move in to try to get Coco out of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you two have a connection.
What she's going through. Yeah. So
yeah. So she, as you pick her up, she feels so fragile in your arms. You can see her eyes are wide, and she says, "Why, we've been 40 years together, and why what's?" And she looks like she's starting to panic. Why would anyone want to kill Abner? He's so harmless. It's true. He snores quite a lot, and he's sometimes a bit of a cheapskate when it comes to dining out. But why would anyone want to kill him over something like that? And she starts like sobbing, right there.
While Ruby's doing that, I want to get a pen off of one of the tables and just kind of lift up his sport coat with the tip of it to see if not sport coat, but his costume, to see if there's anything that I can see about a potential cause of death. Because it's hard for me to believe that he just drowned.
Right. Okay. So I think this is a good time for us to bust out our meddling. Meddling move. When you search for a clue, conduct research or otherwise gather information. And it seems like you're trying to use reason, but composure could also work because, he did just die. So, but I'll leave it up to you. What do you think?
Let me see. I think I'm trying to use reason because this is somewhat confusing to me. I mean, no one goes face down in a bin, in a middle bin, bobbing for apples and just dies. That it doesn't just happen. I mean, yes, they could have a heart attack or they could have a seizure or something like that, but it doesn't quite go down that way where they just fall forward and die. So.
Absolutely. Okay, so go ahead and roll.
That's a 9.
Ooh, okay. So on a 7 to 9, there's a complication either with the clue itself or a complication you encounter while searching. All right, so let's see. You find in his King Tut costume as you look around. You notice that in his clothing, like hastily put into what sort of constitutes as the belt, there's a crumpled piece of paper. It is a rejected building permit application.
Interesting.
Right, so let me just place that clue. Ooh, okay, clues. All right, I can do this. Let's see. Oh, I forgot to mention this is also a case complexity of 6. And our mystery is called All Hallows Scream. I apologize for my cats losing their minds in the background.
They just want to help. It's okay. Cats are very good at solving mysteries. I know. I ask Coco questions all the time. It's so charming that Coco and Coco have the same name, although Coco's name is spelled differently.
Absolutely. Okay. There we go. So I went ahead and put it in the clue section. But the complication is this: as you find the rejected building permit, you see that the skateboarders are starting to overreact. Like it looks like I think Ruby would recognize this, but possibly the others as well. That something has gotten in their way of their high, and they're not reacting well to it. And several of them are starting to have a meltdown as they're like, oh, the cops are coming! Oh God! Like all these sounds just keep coming out.
Shh. One second. Hold on. Monica drove, but I brought some brownies. They'll help you calm down. I mean, who doesn't like a good brownie? You like brownies, don't you?
Brownies?
Brownies. You know, they have chocolate in them and they're kind of doughy and bready and there's chunks of chocolate and sometimes walnuts and things on top.
And they nod like, yeah, brownies, yeah.
Doesn't that sound good right now?
Yeah. And as you talk to them, you look around and you realize you lost track of the piece of paper. You don't have it anymore.
Well, that's unfortunate. But at least I know it was there. I know what we're looking for, just maybe not who.
Absolutely. And so how about Monica? So you've pulled aside our maid, Mrs. White, who has now reached levels that only dogs can hear.
Right, exactly. And I'm patting her hand, and I'll sort of gesture to Gordon to make a phone call to the police because I need someone with a level head here. And as she gets beyond hearing, can I see Gordon? I'm not Gordon. Sorry, I'm just terrible. The handsome.
Oh no, that's okay.
Marcus. Can I see Marcus?
1 second, I have to tell the cats to like okay. Really going at it. 1 second. Okay. To a point I couldn't hear you. Okay, so you're asking about Marcus, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, Marcus is standing to the side. He looks like he's in shock. You can see that the glass has shattered by his feet. He has a hand up to his mouth as well. And as you look at him, your eyes cross with each other. This is a good time to try to talk to him, or you could keep trying to talk to Mrs. White and see where that goes.
I think that I'm going to touch her shoulder, kind of sit her down, and then I'm going to lock eyes with Marcus again, and I'm going to sidle over to him. And I'm going to...
Go ahead.
And I'll just go, do you know who might have done this?
I don't know. Everybody loved Abner. I mean, you knew him. He was such a sweetheart. He's trying to sit down, and he says, "You seem so calm about this, Monica. I'm sorry. I can't wrap my head around it."
And she kind of sits down and says, "I just want you to think, because typically people don't really murder someone because of their nature. If they're a kind person like Abner is, it's usually because there's money involved. And I figure you're the person that would know about that."
Okay, so it sounds like a meddling move.
Yes.
Quite possibly sounds like presence, but what do you think?
I don't know. Let's see here. I think presence makes sense. I have no idea what my presence is. Yes, let's roll without anything.
Awesome.
All right. I got a 7.
Ooh, which is good. And as you ask him, so you're specifically asking if there's money involved somehow. You can see that he's trying to think about it, and he looks off into the distance and he says, now that I think about it, and he gestures, come with me. I feel like I should show you something in the study. And he says, is this normal that people just trust you and tell you things?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Like he looks like he's thinking to himself. And as you walk towards Abner's office, you can tell that Abner is very bad at business. So when you look around his office, Monica, what do you see that shows how Abner is bad at business?
I think that there's sort of like a buildup of, like, he buys things from everyone who makes him an offer and says they're selling things. So there's kind of like years old Girl Scout cookies, and coupon books and all the stuff that the kids go around selling door to door. But there's also like, there's like a menu, like a prospective menu with a note written on it. It's just like all the things, like everyone comes and pitches to him, and she doesn't know how much of it he's taken as an offer, but he certainly bought a lot of Girl Scout cookies and a lot of those sorts of things. And there's just never used them, just bought them and set them over there. So it's that kind of like he just spends the money because he could. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely, yeah. And so the place is crammed. In fact, when you walk in, you have to step around a lot of things. For some bizarre reason, there's a golf cart in here that's just by itself in the middle of this office. And Marcus gestures to you, and he picks up this what looks like a large trophy, and it says a Lifetime Achievement Award to Lifetime Achievement Award to Abner Vidal. And he turns it over to the back, and then that's when you see scrawled, scratched into the award, it says, Enjoy it, you worthless bastard. And Marcus looks at you and says, you know, I came across this last week. I was there when Abner won the award, and it was pristine, like all the way up until last week, he says. And I asked Abner about it, and he just laughed it off and said it was just a joke. And I believed him at the time. I thought it was a bad joke, bad taste, mind you, he says. But now that he's dead, I'm not so sure. And then he starts to suddenly tip over.
Okay.
And his hands go onto your shoulders, and he starts coughing. And he's starting to turn purple in the face.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, that's not good. And I think I search around for the phone really quick, and I pick it up, and I'm when I pick it up, Gordon's still on the phone with the sheriff, and I'm like, Sheriff, get an ambulance here as soon as possible. Someone's been poisoned.
Poisoned? What? And you can hear his sweat over the phone, right?
Yeah. Just call the ambulance to Abner's house.
Okay, so but I'm gonna write that clue here. The Lifetime Achievement Award with the words carved on the back of the
And he is poisoned. He's not choking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just want to make sure that I'm not mistaking.
Yes.
Like choking's different.
Yes,
usually.
absolutely. I'd say that you've read enough of Angela Delacorte's books. You can obviously tell the signs, the differences. So sorry about that. Okay, so how about, does Ruby want to go around and meddle as well?
Yeah. Ruby has kind of gotten Coco to a more tranquil area away from this. And she's having a serious talk with her about, that this is this is what happens when you build a life with someone. Is like the best case scenario is you wake up next to a dead person. So you have to be strong now. And you have to do whatever you can to make this time that you put in with him worthwhile and live for both of you.
Right. And as you say that, her hands are shaking. Oh, the truth is, between Abner and I, oh, my best friend, I can't believe my best friend is gone. I have to be strong, but, and Abner always said I was strong, but I never believed him, I'd still be a poor girl on the streets if it wasn't for him.
Coco, that isn't true. And you need to at this time, your gift to Abner is to believe what he sees in you.
Right. Abner was so kind. Why would anyone? Oh, okay, but you're right. So the question I have for you, Ruby, is: do you want to press her and try to meddle and get more information, or are you just going to comfort her at this time?
I'm going to operate on the assumption that if I let her talk, that something will come out.
Right. So through kindness and stuff. Yeah. You have read several books where that was the case. Absolutely. So that definitely feels like a meddle move. I think it would make sense, either composure or presence.
I think I'm going to go for presence. So that is an 8.
Ooh, okay. So on an 8, we have the clue that there is a complication of some kind. So as you let her talk, so you have a hand on her back. She looks like she's, she is still distraught, but she's finding her center in that storm, basically. And as she looks at you, she says, "You know, there was, I don't know how to put this, but someone did call recently. Um, they were calling. I think they were looking for Abner. But when I tried talking to them, it was in a language I didn't understand, and Abner told me it was a wrong number. But I was so sure that they mentioned his name. But I don't. It was such a weird language. I mean, I can't remember what it was," she says.
Your landline.
Yes, we hardly use it. And that was also strange, right? They didn't call on the cell phone. Who calls on a landline nowadays?
Has anybody called since then?
Oh, after that, Abner's was Abner. Ooh, I have to get used to this past tense, she says. Abner was always quite calm, but after that call, he unplugged the phone and broke it. He smashed it against the wall. He was so angry, and he apologized, and he almost took me out shopping, but he's a cheapskate, so he like backed out on that. But not but yeah, I don't know though. And she starts to look a little sadder, a little distraught. And at that moment, Mrs. White, the maid, comes in, and she looks angrily at you, and she says, "Now that's certainly enough. Poor Miss Vidal needs time to rest. I will take care of her. I don't know who you are, but you've obviously upset her." And she starts to look. She's a little different from when Monica was talking to her, and she pulls Coco away.
I'm gonna give her kind of the stare down as they do. Does she leave me in this area?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a schlock movie director's home with a lot of like props and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to take one of there is a prop phone.
Mm-hmm.
That is in this part of the house that I'm going to take and plug into a wall outlet, into the outlet. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna dial star 69, the dial back the last number that called.
Ooh, wow, I didn't even know that was a thing people could do. We don't have that here. But yeah, so you call the number, and ooh, yeah, could you roll another metal move for me just to see how well this goes?
Okay. What I'm thinking this could be, I'm going to go with composure for this.
Oh, yeah, because you have to keep your cool with whoever answers.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I like it.
Yeah. That's a 7.
Ooh, very good. Okay, so the phone, strangely enough, it only rings once before it's answered, which is strange because that means on the other side it didn't even have a chance to fully ring. And there's a voice that answers, and you recognize it. Someone is talking in Japanese in a very soft, deep tone, and they're asking you questions. Now, Ruby, I have to ask you, Why do you recognize this voice on the phone, and why does it scare you?
I think that this voice is I think that it's not so much that it's a specific person as I recognize kind of a tone and a way of talking from the period of time I spent waitressing in Japan. And this is definitely somewhat. This is definitely kind of the mode of speech of someone who's kind of an underworld figure.
Right. The voice is very gruff but very serious.
Yeah, and there's just a couple little like word choice cues and things like that.
Right. Like that, not as polite to get the point across. I'll say that because of your background, like you spent some time in Japan, you recognize every other word, and what you hear is, "It is done. Something, something, something. There's no going back." And then the phone clicks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
I need a stiff drink now.
Yeah. That really is a lot of complications, but that's also a lot of clues. So at this point, I'll say that this is when our sheriff arrives with the ambulance. We see Marcus being taken. He's stabilized. It still looks quite serious, but because Monica acted so quickly, he's stable for now, and the party is starting to dissipate. No one has seen Coco and Mrs. White for a while, and it's quite awkward. You can still try to search around if you want. You can try to sneak around and see if you can get away with it, or you can go ahead and leave for now and regroup later. What do you think?
I can't leave. My friend Elena needs me, and besides, she might know something.
That's right. Would you like to check?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So you see Elena.
But have the skater boys calmed down with the brownies that I gave them?
I'm assuming that they're like normal brownies, right?
What other kind are there?
Right, except they didn't think it was normal. So they're in the middle of acting like they're on the best high they've ever been.
How would they get high from brownies?
You know, sometimes people just love delicious food, and that's what sets them off.
Well, that makes sense.
Absolutely. Just a lot of sugar.
Like on Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
Okay.
So you see Elena Visage, she is you find her actually sitting in the master bedroom, but she looks like she's in a daze. She has fake blood pouring all over the bed as she sits there. And actually, what I want to ask you, Doris, is that Abner and Coco had a pretty interesting sex life. What evidence of this do you see casually strewn about the room?
I can't repeat that in polite company. I'm trying not to look at it, but it's in the middle of the room and it's on a stand.
Right, because as far as Doris knows, the two are married. I think only Ruby has really picked up on the whole like arrangement situation so far.
It's curious that Elena's in here, though.
Yeah, and as you see her, she just looks like she's in shock. She doesn't even register you coming in. What do you do?
Is she looking at anything in particular? Is she touching anything? Is she turning any objects over in her hands?
Ooh, her hands are empty, But you remember that, like you, she had a knife, because you're part of that same role from that same movie, and you don't see the
Mhm.
knife anywhere. Would you like to meddle maybe to try to get a better look, or talk to her?
Well, of course, I'd like to meddle to get a better look. Why wouldn't I want to do that?
So are you okay with drawing her attention? Maybe it's composure to make sure she doesn't notice you,
I
or
think
presence
so.
if you want to calm her down.
I think, well, that you raised a very good question. I think composure is okay. I think that works. I can keep it together, not disturb her, because the poor dear's obviously just had a really, really, really big shock. So
Absolutely.
that is a 10.
Ooh, a 10. Nice. Okay, so on a 10, on a hit, you find a clue. The keeper will tell you what it is. So it's straightforward. You don't have to deal with complications. As you look, so you're looking around, right?
Yes.
You see. Mhm.
And this is a very interesting bedroom, I might add. It's interesting.
Mhm. Right. So what you find is that you look around and you realize that there's, you know how there are these little like Christmas decorations that play sounds and voices and stuff, like snowmen talking or singing.
Of course. I have
So
Christmas
there's
ornaments like that.
Right. So there's this equivalent for a Halloween one. It's a witch that's like cackling over a cauldron. There's all this fake smoke that's coming out from it. And as you get closer to it, you pick it up and you notice, like, at the bottom, it has one of those weird things where you can record what someone's saying, and then it'll
Mhm.
come back out as a witchy voice. And when you play what it was last recorded, there's a voice that comes out that says, "I know I'm going to die tonight."
Hmm.
And it's strange because it's, even though it's distorted by the witch voice, it's not Abner's voice. It's obviously a feminine voice.
Elena, honey,
Yes, yes. Oh, it's you,
it's
uh,
just me.
Doris.
Yes.
And you notice that when she's not in front of everyone, she's quite different. I mean, there's still the shock of everything, but she's much more sedate. She's not putting on her personality, basically.
Elena, honey, I know this is a shock for you. Did you see anything unusual before we found his body? Anybody talking to him or approaching him? Or
Um, there were so many. There were so many people at the party. It's hard for me to remember everybody, but I did I did notice Mrs. White wasn't really, I mean, I know she's the maid, but she wasn't really interacting with everybody else like she usually does. It's usually hard to see her away from
Mhm.
Poco. They're usually so close. I did see her pulling aside Abner and talking to him a lot.
Interesting. So you say you see the maid and Miss Coco talking a lot?
Right, right. And she looks at you and she says, it's supposed to be me who's dead. It wasn't supposed to be Abner. I was the one that was receiving the death threats. It should have been me.
Is, Elena, did you record this message on the witch?
I Oh, it was so silly. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was just so scared. I've just been getting the messages every day now. It used to just be, once a month and then once a week, but for the last month it's been every day. I knew they were building up to this night. I tried to go to the police and they didn't take me seriously.
Well, I take you seriously. Very seriously. A man is dead. Obviously, there's something serious going on. Were these death threats written? Were they on telephone messages?
And she says, it would just always be a recording, a voice recording that they would just leave for me to hear, that would come through on my phone. Even if I changed numbers, even if I got rid of my phone, the messages would just keep coming. I found cassettes even at one point. I mean, who even listens to cassette tapes anymore?
Oh, I do. Are we not supposed to? Never mind. That's a question for another time.
Yes.
Do you have any of these messages still?
Oh, well, I try to delete them as they come, but the one from before I came to the party, I didn't have a chance to delete it. So she offers you her phone.
I would like to.
Oh, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I would like to meddle to see what I can discern from the message on the phone.
Absolutely. So I feel like that is probably closer to reason, because I know you're kind of good at the YouTubes, but it'll take some finagling.
All right. Oh, goodness gracious. That's a 6.
At that exact moment, when you pick up the phone, that's when you recognize the sheriff's voice. Thank you very much for finding that evidence, Doris. I'm sure we're going to do good things with it. And he is sweating. This is the first time this is 2 murders very close to each other. He's out of his element. He grabs the phone, and he grabs Elena a little roughly with the other hand. You can tell just because he's nervous, right? He doesn't mean to be so rough. And he says, "All right, down to the station with you. Doris, this is a crime scene. This is an active crime scene. You have to leave right now."
I think I would like to put on a crown.
Oh, okay.
Now, with the crown moves, how does that work?
Right. So for the crown moves, let me show it on the screen so everybody can see it who are watching. So you can see that you have, for example, Ruby has used the crown once, so there's a check mark here, right? So you can choose the crown of the queen or the crown of the void. If it's a crown of the void, though, that's pretty intense. You'll start to go deeper and deeper, closer and closer towards the void. But here, the crown of the queen, narrate a flashback. You don't have to narrate it right now. It can be just any time before the session ends tonight.
I see.
So you can just choose one. And once you choose it, let me double check, but I'm pretty sure it means you act like as if you rolled a 10 plus, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's just one level of success up.
Oh, there we go. One level of success. So you'll get to a complicated one, but that's still better than a miss and losing the phone.
Let's see. I think I'll narrate a scene about one of my fondest memories with one of my children.
Okay.
It'll be hard to choose. There are so many.
So you can mark it for now. If you want, you can already narrate what it is if you feel like it's related to the scene, or we can save it for later during a cozy time situation.
We can save it for later.
Okay. So you go ahead and mark it. So there's this moment where time seems to slow down, and what the audience sees who are watching the TV show, it looks like there's another version of Doris who is putting on this golden crown who winks at the camera, and time moves backwards. As we see, we are leaving this alternate reality where things didn't quite go as planned. So instead, Doris, as you pick up the phone and you wink at the audience again to let them know that this magical thing has happened, but Doris is not aware of it. You go through the phone and you're specifically looking for the message that was left behind, right? The death threat.
Yes.
And what you hear is there's this long pause at first, this long pause in the beginning until you hear, you know, you're going to die tonight. Repeat it after me, Elena. You're going to die tonight. You're not useful anymore. No one wants you anymore. You're in the way, Elena. And you wouldn't take care of things like we asked you to. So you're going to die tonight. And the voice is distorted. Like you can tell they ran it through something to hide the timbre of their voice. In fact, it sounds like multiple voices, but you have a feeling that you can bring it to someone who's been encouraging you to set up a YouTube channel. They're pretty good with the technical side of things. You could bring it to them so that you could get more information.
Elena, can I keep your phone for a day or two?
Oh, yeah, it's no problem. I was going to get rid of that one again anyway to avoid the messages. So I hope I don't get any more.
I hope
I
you
don't
don't
know.
too. But
What if this is my fault? What if Abner died because he was trying to protect me? What if
Elena, you know as well as I do, this is not your fault. This is one of those things that sometimes it just happens. Sometimes somebody gets mixed up in something they shouldn't, or they see something they shouldn't, or they're in business with somebody that they shouldn't be in business with, or there's all sorts of reasons. But most of them, in this case, I think are about money. And the ones that aren't about money are usually about love. So this one is probably about money. But
right.
what I think what you should do is come downstairs with me. We'll talk to those nice skater boys. There was one of them that was looking at you. And we'll see if we can get them to escort you home to make sure that you're safe, and maybe check around your place and make sure that nobody's there so you feel safe going in and staying there tonight. Who knows? Maybe a couple of them will even stay and maybe watch just to make sure that nobody tries to disturb you or harm you.
Right. Okay, she says, and she gets up, takes a deep breath, and walks out with you. And so I feel like this is a good time to let time move forward a little. Things will settle down a bit. We're also just about to hit the top of the hour. I feel like this game goes by so quickly. Mm-hmm. It's like, whoa, is it another hour? We just took a break. So let's take our last break. Let's take another, I was going to say 10 minutes. Do you feel like 5 minutes is okay for a break? So, okay.
I think
I'll see
5
you all.
minutes is fine.
Yeah. I'll see you all in 5 minutes. Hello. Okay, most of us are back. But yeah, I saw in the chat how Richard called for the crown move. Excellent. Might as well go for broke. All right, so we have a lot going on, but you all did very well. We have lots of clues for this specific case. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is quite a lot. And just as a reminder, just so that everybody is aware with how it works mechanically, one of my favorite parts about this game, when we feel ready to theorize. Here, I'll read it out loud. When the Mavens, usually this is us players, have an open, free-willing discussion about the solution to a mystery based on the clues they have uncovered and reach a consensus, roll plus the number of clues found, not including void clues, minus the mystery's complexity. So in both cases, our mystery complexity is 6. So all the clues, roll plus clues minus 6. And on a 10 plus, it's the correct solution. The keeper will present an opportunity to take down the culprit or otherwise save the day. On a 7 to 9, the solution is correct, but the keeper will either add an unwelcome complication to the solution itself or present a complicated or dangerous opportunity to take down the culprit or save the day. On a 6 minus, the solution is incorrect and the keeper reacts. And what's also interesting is on a 12 plus, a person involved in the dark conspiracy of Brindlewood Bay also reveals themselves to the Maven. So there's that overarching void conspiracy with where most of our Cthulhu flavor is in. Let's see. Just as a note, it doesn't matter who rolls theorize when the time comes. Additionally, theorize is not subject to any modifiers on the die roll, so there's no advantage. The effects of the gold count mysteries move so on. Oh, I keep forgetting we can use our cozy items to like mark and get advantage. So yeah, reminder to self to bring that up. But yeah, so actually what I would suggest is this is a good time for a cozy move if you would like to do that. But if you want to keep chasing down those clues, I don't mind that either. We have 2 mysteries to attend to. I know the book recommends having a maximum of 3, but I think I might keep it to just the 2 until we solve one. But how do you feel about it?
That's fine.
Yeah.
There's some investigation I'd like to do. If
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to. Let's see. I need to look at these NPCs.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I would like to get a look at Sam Turlington's financial records.
Ooh, good question. Okay, so yeah, because Sam is, I also have to look, is our banker, is that right? Oh, business partner. There we go.
Yeah.
Gord is the banker.
Yeah, I want to look at what I'm trying to find out is like who they've been in business with on their last couple of movies.
Yeah.
See if any names maybe of Japanese extraction come up.
Absolutely. That sounds like a fantastic idea. So that sounds like reason to me, but what do you think? Because it could be present if you're going to go to someone and ask for help.
Well, I'm gonna have to get that access, and so I'm gonna try to steamroll Sam Turlington.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Go straight to Sam and see what's up.
Yeah, and just like kind of confuse / bully him into giving me access to the records.
Yeah, I like that idea. In fact, I'm going to say, because he has money with him, I don't think this is the first time because you've talked about how you get people to support these events locally, and he did recently invest in Brindlewood Bay. It makes sense he would try to play nice and invest in the museum at some point. So you do have his contact information. You can also see him in person. He's staying nearby at a bed and breakfast.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to ambush him at his breakfast.
Sounds about right. Yeah. So this bed and breakfast, it's outside the the house has been painted this really like lovely powder blue. There's a lot of like cheery pastel yellow detailing, and he has ostentatiously rented out the entire bed and breakfast, which normally is enough for 6 people, but he's rented it out just for himself for a month. It would actually be easier and cheaper if he just rented a house, but he liked the charm of the place and likes the owner. Yeah, let's see. So you come in. He is in the middle of having breakfast, but he's sort of just like despondently like pushing at his scrambled eggs, and he's just sighing to himself, and you hear him murmuring, "Oh, all those dreams." So, shall you go ahead and meddle?
Yes, I sit down like I was invited, and Sam, I can't tell you enough how badly I feel for you. I know you and Abner were close, but there is a delicate matter. As wonderful a man as Abner was, you were the one who handled the numbers, and
Right.
this
Abner was
is
so bad at numbers.
yes, this is something I had intended to broach with you, and I hope it's not indelicate of me, but Abner wrote a rather sizable check to the museum, or had promised to, and then when I received his donation in the mail, there was a check made out to the incorrect name, and I imagine it's some business associate of yours, perhaps. Although the name is not immediately to hand, but I would love to get that check to the right person. Is there any way that I can maybe look through your records and see if any names spark an association?
Ooh, good one. All right, so let's roll. Do you want to try to mark a cozy item for an advantage?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yeah, might as well. Now, how do we have to find a way to make these play in, or
Sort of, as long as you can like sort of say, I should double check, but looking at it, maybe you could connect it to the Italian villa because it was your friend. Maybe he's friends with him, but I'm also going to double check if it has to be.
No, I get that. I'm going to do the key, with the idea that this is me tapping into the way that the elite, the social elites, have these very informal, breezy relationships where everybody knows everybody, and and I'm just kind of tapping into that same vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll check that item.
Awesome.
So, and I'll use presents for that. So,
roll with
that's
3 dice.
3 dice and take the highest 2.
Absolutely.
It's a 9.
Ooh, okay, but so close. But yeah, still good. So, he looks at you. He smiles when you mention your friend. He says, "Right. Of course, it's not a problem, Ruby. I'm absolutely happy to help." And he says, "Why don't you come upstairs with me?" And he that's when you sort of start to realize that maybe his intentions are a little like, he's going to show you the information, but there's this sense of like he's interested in something as well.
Okay. I am confident in my ability to deflect. So
okay, yeah. So he brings you upstairs. So he's rented out the entire space. And in one of the rooms, he pulls you in, and there's like you can see that there's a file cabinet that's been installed here, like quite a few of them. He's turned it into his office, this area. And he opens up the file cabinet, lets you look through it, And it's kind of strange. Like, it's so old fashioned. He doesn't use a computer. You don't see anything like that nearby, but everything is neatly organized. So it's quite easy to find the information you need. But he starts leaning, like he goes like,
Yeah.
he's trying to find the best position to like get close to you.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking is, are you going to let him think it's okay to do that? Or do you want to try a day move to get him to, not see you that way?
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to project that it's so I think I'm gonna look at him like, now Sam, you know better than this, but I'm not going to say it. I'm going to do it all with my eyes.
Right. Absolutely. I'm thinking of the Golden Girls.
Right.
I feel like, so name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve.
I think that it's the wounded pride of a spurned man means that I could make an enemy out of this guy.
And he does have connections, so let's see how it goes. So roll with, do you feel like it's presence or composure?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I know that that's me leaning into my strengths, but I'm trying to play to my strengths. So
yeah. No, totally
I think it's presence.
And it really makes sense in the situation.
That's an 11.
Oh, wow. Our presence is strong. So on a 10 plus, you do what you intend or you hold steady. Describe what it looks like. So tell me what happens.
I think Sam is he's like, I basically make it clear, like, he tries to pull a very generic kind of, cliched move. And, when, his hand ends up on my knee and I just kind of like look down at it and look at him with just like a withering stare. And he just kind of like quickly withdraws and like completely thinks he's the party in the wrong, which he is.
Absolutely. In fact, he starts apologizing. I'm so sorry, Ruby. I must have misread. I just thought I'm very sorry. That was not very gentlemanly of me. I apologize for reading the situation wrong and putting you in a bad spot. Oh, sorry, you're muted.
You must watch yourself, Sam. This isn't Robert Evans's house in 1976.
That's right. He says, it's up. I'll leave you to go through the records. I apologize again, Ruby. That was,
Thank you, Sam.
I'm going to look if there's whiskey I can find. There's nothing like 9 a.m. whiskey, And he putters off.
All right.
And so you find your clue. Let's see. So you're trying to delve deeper into that one. You do find a name of Japanese descent. Ooh, that is.
Yeah, I'm going to take photos on my telephone of anything that's that seems relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. So you come across the name Kanda Norio. Let me write that down here. I will add it to the to our growing list of NPC names. And this is not the first time you've come across this name, and you double check. You can see that Mr. Norio and Sam, basically Sam wouldn't have been able to buy those properties without the help of Kanda Norio. There were other people who were offering more money to get this prime real estate, but for some reason it still went to these other two. So you know that Norio definitely has a hand in this, has a vested interest in this pushing through. And as you look through it, you can also see that there's some notes scribbled on in some of the margins, because poor Abner wasn't very good with paperwork, didn't really respect it very much. It's an official contract, so you can tell they had to drop a new contract because he wrote where he wasn't supposed to. And basically he wrote, "Are you sure about this condo, Norio? He gives me the creeps." And then
Very
there's
interesting.
flourishing Abner signature next to it. "Your friend." And
All right.
there's a note from Sam that says, this is a contract. Don't write on it ever again." It's a new contract behind it.
All right. I'm good with ending the scene here if you want.
All right. So let's take a look at Doris or Monica. Would you like to continue to investigate? Would you like to engage in a cozy move? Because you can still find a clue through your cozy activity if you like. So that's a thing to remember. But whatever you like to do.
Doris, go ahead.
I was going to say that as much as I don't want to do this,
Are you going to see the seagull?
I should probably do the grown-up thing and go talk to Henrietta Gable.
Oh, Henrietta, not the seagull. Got it.
Stephen is many things, but I don't think he would be particularly useful in this investigation. Perhaps in another investigation, like if we're trying to determine what type of fish head a seagull will eat when you throw it at them, the answer is all of them as near as I can determine. But I don't see him being of much use in this one. Thank heavens.
Right. So what would you like to see Henrietta about?
Well, first of all, we have that string of numbers. And also, it occurs to me that if we can get a phone number, she would probably be able to provide it from the phone that I have. And I'm wondering if Monica would like to come along just in case we need a peacekeeper or a mediator. I will be on my absolute best behavior, cross my heart, hope to die. I'll even bring some truce muffins. But Henrietta can be intractable.
Intractable? She's always a sweetie when I go to visit her. But I absolutely could see that perhaps she has a different side to her. She's a complicated person. Yes, I'll go with you.
Thank you so much, Monica.
Ooh.
Yes?
Let's bring some flowers.
We could do that. Maybe some zucchini?
Oh, I see. So you're planning your revenge. Yes, we can do that.
I was actually thinking that she might appreciate it.
I think only if you turn them into zucchini bread form. But yes, we can do that. Ooh, you could bring one of your recipes.
She says that my recipes don't have enough flavor for her, so I doubt she would want one.
All right, definitely bringing the zucchini. All right, yes. We will go in and get those things together. Take the flowers and zucchini too.
And, well, these muffins that I baked, and I'm sure she'll just loathe because, well.
Absolutely.
If I put enough spice in there, I'm probably going to hurt her.
So you see that Henrietta Gable, you've seen her house. Everybody here in Brindlewood Bay knows each other. She moved here around the same time most of you did, and it's quite a lovely home, very pleasant to look at. You notice, Monica, that the garden is in pretty good order. Like she's not a professional, or but it's quite good.
She's certainly not you.
Well, but she does have some lovely Cleome, and I always appreciate that. So.
You do notice that the mailbox, well, this is something that you know, that the mailbox looks like this huge metal seagull that was cobbled together. And as you get closer to the house, you remember with a sinking heart, Doris, how much Henrietta loves the seaside seagull motif. And so it's everywhere. There's just like those little wooden carvings of seagulls, just like absolutely everywhere. And as you ring the doorbell, Henrietta answers. And first she sees Monica. Oh, Monica, hello. How are you doing?
Henrietta, it's been too long. Oh, and she goes, I brought flowers from the garden. I thought you might like them. And then I saw your lovely Cleome. Your garden is beautiful.
Oh, you're so sweet, Monica. I know it's nothing compared to your garden, but you're such a doll. And at that moment, she sees Doris and she stops. Hello, Doris.
Hello, Henrietta. How are you?
And she pointedly ignores you and looks again at Monica. I wish you could have come in better company, Monica.
Oh, and she goes, now, we murder mavens do stick together. You should come to the book club. And she goes, you would see, we're all an excellent bunch of people to spend time with. Just got to get used to us.
Maybe if the membership changes, and she gives a side eye towards Doris, I would love to join you, but anyway, Doris, come in, I suppose. Are those muffins again?
I look at Monica, and you see just the faintest little trickle of blood running out the corner of my mouth.
All right, come in, come in. Oh,
I will say that Monica has sort of gotten to the other side, and she does give Doris the eyes, like, oh, like that she can see the crazy.
Right, and then so you see this large so there's this large overstuffed couch.
Okay.
You know when they create those huge cozies for an entire couch that you just sort of push on to cover it up. So this one is made to look like the bayside. There are seagulls all over again. The Beach Boys are on the radio nearby. And she bids both of you to come in, and she turns to Monica. Can I get you something? Oh, are those zucchinis?
And she goes, yeah, I thought. Well, they are excellent size for either baking or casserole. I made the best ratatouille casserole the other day.
Oh, wow. I need the recipe, of course, Monica.
Absolutely. She goes, it's so simple, I can jot it down right now.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Okay, let me go ahead and here, and she gives you the pen and paper that's nearby that has a really large-eyed seagull staring at it.
Like the cute kind, like the alley seagull that they have. Yeah, okay, I got you.
Absolutely. Perfect. So what do I owe the pleasure? Oh, well, the half pleasure of this visit.
Well, we were hoping that you might be able to answer a question for us about a murder. It's very tragic. But you've heard about Albert Krauss, haven't you?
Right. The rich guy. Yeah, it was so unfortunate what happened. Murder, you say? I heard he just fell overboard.
Well, people generally don't die from drowning when there's terminal impact wounds on the back of their head. Monica, it is a terminal impact wound, correct? How does Alexandra put it in her books?
I think she calls it fatal blow.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm sorry. I got my terms mixed up. But no, he had a very, very serious head injury that was on the back of his head and would have knocked him overboard, where it would appear that he drowned. And if the body hadn't been recovered, everybody probably would have thought that he just went overboard. But, well, the body was recovered and we know better. But There's a couple of things that we could use your help with. One is this series of numbers. And I passed the numbers over to her. I
Right.
figured of all the people in town, you were the person who would know best what these numbers are.
And she raises an eyebrow at you, and she looks confused, but she also looks like she's not exactly ready to help you. So I think this will take a meddling move to convince her.
Oh, goodness gracious. And let's... I think this is... Do you think this is composure or presence?
I would say, considering the bite, it'd have to be composure.
Okay. Oh, dear. That's a 6, so I will take another gold crown move.
Sure, go ahead. We'll go through those flashbacks
Sure.
towards the end of the session. So we're bumping it up to a complication, right? To the next step.
Yes.
All right. So as you had it over, she looks at the numbers and she says, well, I could go through the records and ask old friends, but Doris, if I'm going to do this for you, a favor for a favor, do we understand each other?
That only seems fair.
So this upcoming bake-off, I'm sure you're too busy to join it.
Monica's still sitting off to the side where Henrietta can't see her, but her jaw drops.
It's a pretty tough move. And she's looking at you with steely eyes.
Well, I suppose every baker wants to have their 1980 Olympics, don't they? And you're right. With these murders, I am much too busy. Because there's 2 of them,
Right. And as usual, your delusions of grandeur are getting the better of you, dear. But I will run through these numbers. I'll find the information you need. And it'll be nice to finally have a bake-off with real competition and real spice involved.
You should invite a judge from East Germany. I'm sure they'd appreciate it.
So she raises an eyebrow and she says, well, I'll go make some calls and I'll get that information for you.
Well, also, there's this voicemail. And perhaps, is there any chance that you might be able to retrieve a phone number for this? Or a reverse lookup so that we know who made the call?
Oh, 2 favors. And she's raising an eyebrow. You can tell you're really pushing it.
There are 2 murders.
I'm going to have to say you have to roll again with a disadvantage this time, unless Monica would like to butter her up.
Distract her from her bargaining. I will distract her from her bargaining by going, oh, Henrietta, one thing with this casserole, as sort of I'm handing that phone to her, like I've picked it up next to Doris. I hand it to her. I go, there's a secret ingredient. I'm going to write that down for you.
And the moment you talk, Monica, her eyes soften. Oh, really? And she turns towards like it's night and day, the way that she talks into you.
You'll love this. It's so simple.
Oh, Monica, you're so brilliant. You're such a genius. I'm so lucky to have a friend like you. Some people appreciate you. Others don't.
And should I be rolling with composure again?
Yes, composure, but no disadvantage this time.
That is an 11 on the dice, +1.
Oh, nice. Very, very good. So my partner came back home and is distracting me with milk tea. Okay. on an 11. Is that right?
That would be 12.
12. Ooh, you also find a void clue. Or you learn something about the dark conspiracy. I'll say we'll give you another void clue. This is very cool. Give me a moment to. Ooh, I have 2 mysteries up. So I'll say that she'll give you the rest of the clue later, like when she makes the calls. But also, as you hand the phone to her, it's like time stops for a moment, like it freezes, and you feel this chill settling into your bones. And during this TV show, we can see like the filter suddenly shifts towards a more blue tinged one, where the pinks and the reds really come out. And while everyone is frozen, Doris, you keep moving like as if you're underwater, like it's slow motion. And there's this rising mist that starts to fill in the entire house. And you see your husband standing by the window. And he says, "No, my love, you're getting too close. Too close. They know your name now. It's only a matter of time. I will miss seeing you," he says. And at that moment, everything snaps back. And you can see Henrietta looking at you. And she actually looks a little concerned. "Are you all right, Doris? You froze for a moment there."
Oh, I was just remembering something. It was a spice mixture that I have been using in a new recipe.
"Oh, all right then. Are you sure you're okay? Let me get you some tea." And you see her warm up a little to you, like she feels a little bad about being so mean to you. And she says, I have some nice chamomile tea. I'll put it on the stove."
That would be lovely. Thank you, Henrietta.
Okay, so I think we have 2 clues. I'll say this is a nice time for the 3 of you to gather at your usual meeting place. Unless you have another idea in mind aside from the bookstore.
Should one of us do a cozy activity to get some
Ooh.
clues or something like that?
Yeah, we could jump in for another clue before the end of the session.
Okay. Let's see here. Well, we've had a lot of talk of recipes and stuff. So, Doris, why don't we put together some treats to take to our poor bereaved pals that we've just met the other day?
The unfortunate thing is my cozy activity is quilting.
Oh no! Then we'll go to the garden and pick more flowers.
unless you'd be okay with me changing that.
Yeah, because you haven't used it, and you have been bringing up the cooking more. So I'm okay if you would like to change it.
All right. I'll
Now that you
change
have a better
it.
feel for the character.
Well, and it certainly fits my profile picture.
Yeah, it's sort of a mid-season adjustment. I mean, this still has the hoops and everything.
Well, that's the picture that I uploaded to the MySpace when my great-grandchildren, my grandchildren, because I mean, obviously that website hasn't been around for a while, but that's the one that I put up there. Can you believe that Tom sent me a friend request and was on my top 8?
For people who are just listening, everybody's just shaking their heads in response. Okay, so let's set this up. So you're going to bake some goodies, is that right? Yes. For the folks who, you could go by and see how.
For Elena and for those lovely boys who helped her and watched out for her. Yes, they all deserve some treats.
Mm-hmm.
And Coco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, sorry, you're saying something, Sherry?
I was. So I should take a drink, but I don't have anything. So yes, I would like to also stop by with some treats to see if Marcus is doing better, because they did catch the cyanide poisoning fairly quickly. Yeah. Was that what it was?
Yeah. It was poisoning. Ooh, actually, I will say, yeah.
What I wanted to say, it was kind of like we moved away, and I was going to say I would have had someone from the police department check his drink, essentially the remains of the thing there, and a trophy in case it was contact poison.
Ooh, that sounds like a meddling move. I like that though. Do you want to fit that in real quick?
Sure. I can make a roll real quick.
Yeah. So, before we go, I like that idea.
I think that's just reason. That's just me going, what would Vivian Delacourt have done? So yes.
Oh, if you want, you can use your if you just want to go straight into the once a session move, that's a good time to use it. I have so many tabs. Where am I going? Okay.
No. That one's to get out of a bad, sticky situation, right? Do you think it fits? Let's read it.
Yeah. So once per session, when any Maven says, "This reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacourt," work with the other players to describe how something that is happening in the situation reminds the Mavens of an event from one of the Gold Crown mysteries. At a minimum, you must provide the following information: the name of the Gold Crown mystery in question, no repeats, please, and the problem or situation Amanda found herself in that is similar to what the Mavens are experiencing. How Amanda eventually overcame the problem or resolved the situation. Then you can take a 12 plus to a single relevant role or state a fact about the current situation that the keeper must incorporate. So I feel like it fit. Like you could just say, you could instead of a 12 plus, then you can establish it was this poison and it came from the contact of the trophy.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. So I think that it was actually one of her first ones where it was called the cut of the diamond. And essentially, it was essentially a sort of a similar thing. It was a party, but one of the people was poisoned, and everyone was looking into the foods and things like that, and they completely missed what he had handled. And it was only later that she put together the sort of the trail of who had been in possession of that and how this person had died. They thought he was supposed to be the victim, inadvertent. So
absolutely. So you were able to establish very clearly, you told the police in no uncertain terms that's what happened, and they ran the test, and you were absolutely right. It was in fact poison that came into contact, which probably is what caused. So what probably happened was he got hit by the poison, wandered towards the porch. I feel like this is a CSI flashback, right?
Yes, and he passed out.
Yeah, and it fell into the because like when they looked over the body, there was no water in his lungs. Right. Okay, so I love that move. That is so cool. Yeah, and let's go into our cozy move. I think we have just enough time to go into that, and I'm going to read it out again. So the cozy move: when you have an intimate moment with another Maven while one of you is engaged in your cozy activity. In this case, it's baking for Doris. Choose 2 from below if it's your cozy activity. Otherwise, choose 1. So the person, right? Because Richard and Puckett helped me decipher this a bit. So basically, it'll be Doris who'll make the choice.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so, because it's her cozy activity.
Yeah. So would you like
to...
And then
get to the question.
Well, Ruby, would you like to join us?
Yeah. Well, the way that Ruby helps bake is by drinking white wine.
That's fair. That very much seems like something that Ruby would do. But I also suspect that Ruby would have brought her own bottle because I don't think she would have liked my taste in wines.
Oh, yeah. I don't put ice cubes in my wine.
Well, and not only that, but the wine that I tend to prefer doesn't actually have any kind of brand or what do you call it, a vintage? It just says white wine or red wine, so it doesn't actually. Well, it's Franzia. It's fancy for me.
Sounds authentic.
Sounds fancy enough. Yeah. So we have this cozy montage of the 2 of you baking and 1 of you drinking and heading over and visiting. So checking in on the different guests who were there. So Doris, what clue do you stumble upon? So tell me what it is, but it cannot conclusively solve the mystery by itself.
Okay. Well, let's switch back over to the reference sheet for the cozy move.
Yeah, you can just name any clue you like, if that's the option you're going for.
And then we only choose one clue. Is that correct? That takes up both of them?
Yeah, but it's a pretty powerful move because you don't have
Yes.
to meddle or.
Alrighty. I think the clue that we stumble across is that we found someone who saw Roger R. Rogers arguing with Alfred and actually engaging in some physical Albert, in engaging in physical contact, pushing him around and so forth.
Wait, sorry, who was pushing around?
Roger R. Rogers.
Oh, ooh, So are we crossing the? Oh, is this a Kraus? The Kraus mystery?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, because I assumed we were going to check in on the guests from the All Hallows. I'm so sorry, Merlin is really noisy today. I know how to solve the mystery, Mom. Anyway, sorry, I thought we were looking at
Okay.
All Hallows, but yeah,
well,
that's fine. No problem. We can say it's that. So it was Roger
R. Rogers.
Yeah, it was pushing around. Ooh, so you have who told you this?
Strangely enough, people tend to talk to me. Well, people who aren't Henrietta. And I think what wound up happening is I was talking. I just went by to drop off a basket of condolence muffins. And I started talking to Andrea, the butler, and she mentioned that she had seen Roger R. Rogers arguing with Mr. Kraus and that it got physical. And she was worried because he seemed kind of scary, and so she didn't want to tell the police. But, well, I'm just an old woman. What harm could I possibly do?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so you have that extra clue from Andrea, and when she tells you, it feels like you can sense that she's so happy to finally get it off her chest. You have a feeling that she had tried telling someone else before, but they hadn't believed her. She tells you specifically she had tried telling Sarah Kraus, the eldest daughter, and Sarah had just shrugged it off, saying that Andrea must have just imagined the whole thing.
Well,
Theory. I have a theory.
Ooh, do you want to go for?
No.
Are you sure?
We're building up to a theory.
Find proof.
Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we only have 5 though. It's a little.
Yeah. It's a little premature. I don't want to be the one pointing. You're the one who did it, and then.
I'm just thinking that maybe it was not murder. Maybe it was manslaughter. Maybe it was accidental.
That sounds nice. Or maybe Sarah and RRR are in cahoots.
That certainly could be the case. That would explain why she was trying to blow Andrea off, as the kids say.
Too early. We need to find some more things. Establish exactly what the stakes were. Then we'll know.
Don't these habanero cheddar muffins smell divine?
They really do. The corn just pops.
Right?
Amazing.
Okay, and with that, I think we're going to go into our end of session. And so let's see. And we also resolve any crown scenes before we get to that. So we see 2 from Doris, right?
Unfortunately, yes, I didn't roll that well this session.
That's okay.
And let me scroll scroll back over in the character keeper. So, my fondest memory. We all know we're not supposed to pick favorites with our kids. We're not. We're just not. But Charlie's special. And if you had seen him this day, you'd all understand why he was my favorite. Well, he was. I don't speak about my children in the past tense. He is still my favorite. Although I will deny it if you ever repeat that to anyone. But one day, he came home from school, and he was bloody and bruised, and it looked like he had fallen down a flight of stairs. And I asked him what happened. And so then he told me that it was just an accident. He slipped and fell. And I said, pish posh. No one gets in the state that you're in just from slipping and falling. I recognized that wound over your eyebrow. That's from a fist. So, who beat you up? And it took him a little bit, and I had to put down some cookies and milk for him, but finally he confessed that he'd been getting bullied at school, and, well, it was really hard for him because he didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to handle it. And so I pulled out a bit of steak and I made him put it over his eye to deal with the bruising there. And I got out some more cookies and poured some more milk. And then I leaned over and I whispered to him, "Do you know how to deal with a bully, Charlie?" And he said, "No, Mom, I don't. What am I supposed to do?" And I said, "Well, you curl your fingers into your palm like this, and you make sure your thumb is over your fingers, not against your palm, not inside them, okay? And then what you want to make you want to make sure you keep your wrist straight, all right? And then the next time you see that bully, and he tries to push you around, or he tries to punch you or something, you just pull that fist back. You make sure you keep your wrist straight, and you drive it straight through his stupid nose. And at the very least, that's going to make his eyes water up, and he's probably going to leave you alone for at least a little bit after that. And if you do it hard enough, his nose is going to bleed, and you might even break it. And I guarantee you, if you do that, well, I'll probably need to show you a couple more things that your father taught me, because he might want to he might try to pick fights with you again after that, because he'll feel like you embarrassed him, which you will have. But we can deal with that if it happens. And that makes me think of John. And the strange thing about John is, yes, John taught me how to fight, but he was also so extraordinarily gentle. You wouldn't even believe it. And one day we were out in this field, and there were all these flowers everywhere. And it was during the months when the butterflies were everywhere. And as we sat out there, we tried to find a place to have a picnic, but all the flowers just stood up. There was no real clear place for us to sit down without knocking them over and dislodging all these butterflies. And so we walked, and he carried the picnic basket. But the strangest thing happened, because as we walked, butterflies started landing on him. Like it was just one at first, and it was this little butterfly with blue wings. And then another butterfly flew over, and it had orange wings. And then another one with yellow wings. And they all started perching on him, gently flapping their wings very slowly, as almost like they were just trying to keep their balance as he moved. And he started moving slower and slower and slower. And finally, he just stopped and stood there. I don't know how long we spent like that, but he had all these butterflies who had landed on him. And after a while, they all just flew away. And we went back to the car and went back home. He was such a gentle man. I miss him so much.
Wonderful. Oh, you were going to say something, Richard?
No.
Okay, so with our crown moves resolved, we are going to hit our end of session. So at the end of the session, each player should read aloud the questions they had marked there. For each one they answer yes to, they mark XP. So let's double check. We'll start in character keeper order. Let's go with Monica first. How do you feel about your end of session?
Oh, let's see here. Well, we didn't get a chance to solve a mystery, but we're getting close. We've got a lot of clues. We're pretty close on 2 of them, so we just gotta, we will get this. Did I dote on someone? Gosh, yes. So George got the doting, and I think that I did show someone that I've still got it. I think Georgia Marcus got an eyeful. So
Absolutely. So go ahead and mark 2 XP.
okay.
And how about Doris? How do you feel about your end of session XP markers?
I think I doted on a fair number of people. And I also think that I shared some wisdom with Elena in encouraging her to think that she's not too old to be doing this because her experience actually gives her an edge and a leg up.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's 2 XP for that. And Ruby, how do you feel about yours?
Well, I definitely think the party scene really had me hitting kind of both of them with the Dutch Rocky Horror Act and all that. So I think I managed to hit both of them. Yeah,
absolutely. Everybody did so well at the party. That was a lot of fun. So that is your XP. So we're getting pretty close to leveling up. So this is a good time for you to already consider what you're going to get for your level up. And so basically that's it. We're going to go into our stars and wishes, but we'll do that with the recording off so people can relax a little and decompress. I will go ahead and stop the recording here, but thank you so much for everybody for who's listening or watching for our second session of Brindlewood Bay. I'm so happy we have 6 more sessions. It's going to be fantastic. So thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week.